right, Jerry. So I told you that I was a programmer, SEO, and got into this via monetizing my hobby. What did you do before you were doing this?
I appraised commercial real estate.
Commercial real estate.
Commercial is everything but residential, and it can be anything. The basic rule is it had to be 4 or more units, and it had to be commercial if it was residential. And if it was commercial in general, you know, nobody lives there, then it was commercial. So anything that didn't live there, or anything if you lived there and it was 4 or more units, would fall into the commercial lab. So I could do anything from apartment buildings all the way to anything else that existed for the most part. So plenty of land. And then I fell into a little niche that's not a niche, because ultimately in that business, what you want to do is do a whole bunch of one type so that you can just cookie cutter them out and bank. And I ended up falling into the niche that wasn't that. It was basically special use shit. So everything I got was weird, like fucking churches and bowling alleys and stuff that rarely sold, you know, amusement parks. I'm like, how the fuck are you gonna do? There's no, the way it works is you have to compare their sales, and there are none.
So for one, were you passionate about this, or were you passionate about some of the skills that you used while doing this?
No. It literally was the worst gig profession I ever had for me. There were people in it that loved it, and they did wonderfully. I hated it. And, you know, my father got me into it because I was looking for something, and I said, oh, I'm going to do what you do. And he goes, sure, no problem. Check it out. These are the reports you're going to write. And by the way, they're big, thick fucking reports about a property that does nothing. You're just writing about a stationary object. And he said, here, put this by your bedside. And if you have any trouble sleeping, just start reading it. You won't even be able to turn the page. You'll be out, because it's the most boring shit in the world. So my skill was writing boring stuff to prove a point, or to try to, you know, convince someone that something was worth a certain amount of money. So the good thing about it's funny. I look back on it, and it kind of prepared me for what I do now, because now is, well, what it did is it gave me the skill of being able to compare similar but like but dissimilar objects, and then communicate it in a way that I can convince somebody of their actual value down to the dollar. That's a great skill right there. And I've been able to take that and turn around and apply it to what I do over here. I just can't be boring like I used to be. So most of that shit was boilerplate though. So anyhow, I was glad to get out of that. The day I quit doing that was a great fucking day, bro. It's a great fucking day. That was liberating.
How did you transition? Like, how did you get picked up into the vape scene?
I started, I mean, I was appraising, right? The gig sucked. It was boring as hell. And basically come home, be the family man, and then at the end of the day go, I could use some me time. And I break out the vapes. And basically, since it was after everybody was out and I was at home alone, I'd break out the vapes and start looking for other vapes. And there was nothing going on in 2008 for that. So that's when I, you know, found out about FC, because there was nobody there. I joined that and we started that damn thing. But yeah, I wish, man. I don't own anything, man. That's the problem. The appraisers don't get done shit. There's a cog in the machine, man. Don't forget that. So anyhow, I had been on that forum for years, manage as a member, and then as a moderator, and then at some point, after about 5 years of moderating, I really wanted to do something different. And so I thought, why don't I try to do something on the side? I want to do something in vaporizing. I don't know what. I started to ask a lot of my contacts, and I had a lot because I'd been beta testing for 7 years and reviewing for 6 or 7 years on fuck combustion. And everybody came there to launch or figure out what to do with their vapes. So I had my hands in a lot of shit. And most of them said you should sell vapes, because making vapes takes tons of money and time, and you don't make anything, so you should sell vapes. I was like, okay. So I basically spent a long time working it out with the management at Fuck Combustion. How could I how could I consult forum members on the side, like in the private messages of what vape they should get, and then if I had a contact there, get it sent to them for less than normally they would. So I basically, you know, I get a little cut, and then they'd save money, and then everybody wins. And it was really just like at that point, I did that to try to do what you were doing. I'm paying for my hobby. I would like to be able to make enough money helping people to the right vape to pay for my next vape or some weed. And it worked out. That worked. It was doing pretty well. And it was fun. I loved it, but I couldn't moderate anymore. And then somewhere along the line, Patrick at Planet of the Vapes, he owns Planet of the Vapes. He was migrating from an eBay seller to a website and wanted me to write content. So we talked about how I could be his vape expert and write content. But we spent a year talking about that before we did it, because we wanted to do it in a way that I could still keep my impartiality and integrity in the community, that it wasn't just, you're going to go here and do what I say and that kind of shit. And he's been amazing in that capacity. He's never asked me to do something I didn't want to do, or say something I don't want to say. And there's been times he even protected my integrity better than I did. So I really appreciate that. He's done a great job of that. So yeah. So then we figured out how I could do that, and that was a great day. That was the day that I could quit appraising. Like that, I had appraised for 12 to 14 years, and it was a long ride, and it paid the bills, and that was it for me. And I was so glad that was over. I was going to sell vapes on the side, I figured, for 5 or 6 years, and then get to the point where that would probably get me out of a day job. And instead I could do this and immediately get out of the day job and immediately get into what I wanted to do and develop my skill. And I think it was a great move. I've loved every minute of it. And so that's been a great thing right there. But that I think is a unique spot in the industry, to be able to earn a living testing and writing about vapes.
It's cool as shit how you came along with Patrick. Patrick's a cool dude.
It really is. It really is.
So you mentioned when you were doing this as a hobby. How long did you do this as a hobby? When you were like vape concierge, where you were helping people find vapes and...
Well, I think the timeline went something like in 08 is when I joined Fuck Combustion and bought my first vape, and very quickly, because there was no other members, very quickly was the main writer there, and then was the one that was pretty much included in most of the beta and review testing there. So that went on for a good 2 years before it needed moderation. And then I moderated for about 5 years. And then I sold for about a year. So I want to say maybe 2016 is when I started working with Planet of the Vapes.
Yeah, so you were committed to the vape passion and the helping people passion for like 8 years while having a full-time job. Mm-hmm. You were doing the appraisal still full-time. Was balance an issue? Did you ever feel like man, this takes up a lot of my time? Or how much time was it?
You know, not with work, because work was clearly a day job, and this was clearly what I did at night after hours. So that part was easy. It was more about family and making sure that it didn't creep into my life earlier and earlier and earlier. And now pretty soon I'm ignoring my wife and that kind of thing, because you know how it gets when it's a passion, man. Now it's not just what I want to do from, 10 at night till 2 in the morning. Now I want to get started at, 9, 8, 7, right after dinner, and then pretty soon, like, okay, well, wait, now you're getting into kid time and all that. So for me, the balance was more that I loved it so much. I mean, look, I did that for 8 years for free, basically. I mean, I loved going on Fuck Combustion and just trolling Ask FC and helping as many people as I could. It was really fun, and that helped me develop that skill. But yeah, I loved that. So that was the hard part for me, is once it became a passion, competing with my home life, just because at that point work was pretty separate. I think that's the hardest part. because I love it. I really do. I mean, I like helping people. I like vapes. Fuck Combustion is a place where I could do both. You know, go in there and have fun. Hit my vapes, go in there, talk about how I felt about the vape. Even that session, so many times I was just going out there and just doing what you and I do, except it was via text. You know what I mean? Hitting and talking.
Yeah, I love bringing people together. I love connecting and empowering like the consumers. And that was a lot of like the .com work that we did, because it was a huge forum community, and empowering the consumer lit me up. I loved that when the consumers were in a large enough connected mass, they could change the way like brands do their shit. They become important enough to sway brands. You know, like the new Coke disaster and things like that. When people connect and revolt. So I in order to influence the vape manufacturers to make better vapes, we need to connect the consumers, and the connected consumers can send the message of what is in demand, what we want these products to be. So that was a big part of my mission.
I love that. That was one of my favorite parts, was moderating Fuck Combustion and helping build that community. I mean, we started with nothing, and so we wrote the rules and enforced the rules and tweaked the rules and made exceptions to the rules, and then had to tweak the. You know, it was really fun forming it, like you said. You really do. It's a morphing thing, and you get to guide and shape and form and love, hopefully, it into what it turns into. And that was so much fun at Fuck Combustion, and I know that's a big part of what you like to do at the Vape Zone. Community is awesome, man. It's what drives me, honestly. It really does. I love connecting with people. I keep thinking about why. Like when I really look at why, there's not like some reason. It's actually a really deep internal longing. You know what I mean? It's like that's actually like I really like. I fucking dig it.
I think I know my why, because when I grew up, my dad used to take me to work. My mom was handicapped and dealt with a lot of shit at home. So my dad took me to work with him often as a means of like being a babysitter or whatever. And my dad ran a lot of big meetings, and I always saw him bringing all these people together and running all of these committees, and everybody always came to him for like their insurance and retirement and pension information. Like he was a benefit representative for like for corporate Goodyear, so like he knew all of the shit, and everybody came to him, and he loved it. He loved doing it, and everybody loved talking to him, and I love that about him, and I choose to be like that, like from my dad. Like my dad was that, and I like that too. Like I like helping people. Like when I was writing those bowling ball reviews in 1999, I loved that people were messaging me like, should I buy this one or should I buy this one? And I have both. I'm like, well, I can explain the differences between these two bowling balls. I love that. I love that I could help somebody make a better decision because my interest, you know, like because of my nerdy geekery and obsession with bowling balls, I can help some person make a better buying decision. I like that. I like that about what I'm doing, and I didn't realize it in 1999. It just made me happy, and I loved it. And when that site went down, I was sad.
I love to hear that from you. I mean, I'm the same way. I love, like, that's what I liked about Ask FC, the section on Fuck Combustion, where anybody can come out and just ask anything. A lot of noobs go there, because I like that. You know, anybody come and ask a question, I'm like, shit, there's a dozen people there got all those vapes. We can figure this out, you know. And sometimes I was the only one because I just had this organic collection that grew because of FC. So, I mean, it really was organic that way. I mean, it was funny. I went back recently and saw an early post from '09 from the Magic Flight Launchbox beta test thread, and it was really fun. I was looking at some of that, and yeah, I remember I had that thing, and so that early on Fuck Combustion, I had access to beta products and manufacturers that were trying to figure out if their vaporizer worked, because I mean there weren't many out. They were just trying to figure that out. So they'd come with that, and we'd help them, you know, through testing if it was worth the shit, make it better. And then it got to the point where that almost became a little incubator of sorts, where even the mod group, we would regularly get approached, and we were regularly beta testing 2 or 3 vapes at a time sometimes, because people just were coming in, and we wanted to help, and it was interesting. And that really kind of developed that whole kind of muscle flex there, as far as just being able to compare all the stuff and translate my appraising skills to this stuff. But what was fun about that for me is I've been able to help a lot of people with their companies over the years. Like, I've been able to help people pick a vape for them, and I've been help people make vapes for others. And it's been really fun to just kind of be there and assist and help along the way. And when they do something that succeeds, I get to feel a little bit of part of that. You know what I mean? So, and then there's somebody that I've connected with, and somebody that we can connect with later easily. And I just love that. I love that. And this industry has blessed me with that. I've got a long trail of that, because it's really just come to me through the forum and stuff. It's great.
And we're still growing. We're still changing. Like, we're still adapting, evolving. I like to evolve. Change is inevitable. I see change as inevitable. A lot of people resist change because they get comfortable. You get comfortable in a space, but change is inevitable. And when you resist change, it's painful, because change is inevitable, and you're just fighting it. If you put that same amount of energy that you would into the fight, into the embrace, into like molding the change, modeling the change, helping the change, being part of the community, and putting the energy into building the change, then it's not painful, it's actually fun. And you get to help the change be better.
What's up, Troy? Happy Friday, Jerry. Good to see you, man. Whew, good to see you too, man.